Welcome back to my craft room. My name's Alyssa. This is Alyssa Makes Everything, a channel where I typically talk about sewing, crafting, basically just making things. But today I'm talking about weight loss. This is part 2 of my weight loss journey. I didn't film as many updates in the later months of my post-op journey. We moved back to California and life just got a little crazy. So I didn't update a ton, but I hope you guys enjoy the updates that I do have for you. So without further ado, let's jump back in time to 7 months post-op. All right, so time for month 7 update. It's January 6th, so I'm actually closer to 8 months post-op than I am to 7 months post-op. I wanted to make an update at 6 months post-op, but what can you do? So this will kind of be 6 and 7 months, but I mean, long story short, things are going great. At 6 months post-op, I hit 100 pounds down. I did a really fun little photo shoot here at my house. These videos have taken place all across the country, it feels like, but it just feels like it's all full circle being back, you know, in the house that my husband and I own. It's been very interesting living in this house, seeing all these mirrors that I used to never want to look in, and you know, it's like healing in a way. So anyways, 6 months post-op, I hit 100 pounds down, huge milestone. I think I actually hit it like on the morning of my 6-month follow-up with my physician's assistant. So that was really cool. She's super proud of me. Started to ask more like, what is your goal weight? And I let her know I don't really have a concrete goal weight in mind. I mean, my goal was always just to be a healthy body weight. Other than that, I don't really know, you know, what my body looks like at certain numbers. So I didn't really have a goal, but at my 6-month post-op visit, the provider that I saw, who I see every time, she's a PA, she told me that she wants me to try to get my protein in without my protein shakes, which I think I will be able to do once I start my new job on the 20th. I just do a lot better when I have a routine like that. Every day I'm waking up at a certain time and I'm having my breakfast, and then at this time I have my lunch. When I'm unemployed, I just don't do well at all. Mentally, physically, it's been rough. So I'm really happy that I start a new job soon. I think that'll help me a lot in upping my water and my food. I'm thirsty. So anyways, that was what was discussed at my 6-month follow-up. I have not gotten blood work done yet. I moved across the country, I think at like 4 months post-op. So, you know, things have just been crazy. I haven't had an appointment with my primary care doctor yet, but once I get settled in my job and have money coming in for co-pays and whatnot, I am gonna go to the doctor and get like my blood work checked to make sure that my levels are good. But anyways, so for 6 months post-op, that was the goal. I also brought up that I have been having like some pain in my stomach, but you know, it's mostly gone away. But the main thing that my doctor was kind of concerned about at my 6-month follow-up was the vomiting that I have been experiencing. And I let her know that it seems tied to stress and anxiety for me. When I was at my old job, the job that I got when I first moved back to California, it was horrible. The last week that I was there, I was throwing up almost every single morning when I would brush my teeth. So obviously not ideal. And I explained that to her, kind of that it's more situational, I think, since, you know, leaving that job, it went away almost completely until I was very stressed again. She recommended that if I'm under a time of like prolonged or increased stress, to go back on the omeprazole, because stress obviously can cause increased like acid levels in your stomach and can lead to an ulcer. As like a bariatric patient, I'm more prone to ulcers, so she just wants me to make sure that I'm protecting my stomach. She said that she thinks that's probably what's causing the vomiting, is like the stress is leading to increased like acid or something, but I don't know, we'll see. I mean, I hope we don't see. So, but at 7 months post-op, I hit my goal, which was a healthy body weight, which for me is I think it's like 175 point something. Right now I'm at 174 point something, but 175-ish for me puts me at an average body weight. And so I'm really happy about that. My body fat percentage I think is about 26 right now, and I started at 50, almost cut that in half. I'm almost at like an athletic body fat percentage, which is so crazy for me. I have truly never seen it, even when I was in the gym 6 days a week, never seen it below the 30s. I'm thrilled, and I'm starting to get a little like buff. My husband and I have been stepping up the workouts lately for sure. We got a membership to Planet Fitness when we moved back here. We've been going, with the holidays, it's kind of messed things up a little bit, but we were kind of consistently going like 2 to 3 times a week and lifting weights there. And then we do cardio. What is my neighbor doing? We do cardio and just like walks with our dogs. Like, one of the most exciting things for me has been running. Never thought I'd ever say those words, but I started to have a lot of dreams a couple months post-op that I was just like running effortlessly in my dream. And there was like a time where we went to Costco and I was bringing the cart back, and I just like broke into like a little bit of a jog, like going across the street to, get out of people's way quicker. And I couldn't believe how easy it was and how good it felt. And I just said to myself, maybe we try a little run. So I've gone for 2 and they've both been like a mile. So, nothing fast, nothing long. I truly just want to work on my cardiovascular fitness. I want to be strong. I want to be able to outrun people. I want to be able to kick some ass, That's truly my goal. I want to be strong. I want to be, badass. One thing that I wanted to mention in this update, I don't know if I've mentioned it before, is the effect that losing 100 pounds has had on like my reproductive system. For lack of a better word, like my periods. I suspected that I had PCOS before the surgery. I have a lot of the symptoms, including like incredibly painful periods. I would be in so much pain on my period that like if I were to drive, there were several times where I considered pulling over just because I thought I might like vomit or pass out from the pain. So after a couple months post-op, something just clicked. I don't know if I was talking with my husband about my cramps or something, but something clicked and I said, wait a minute, you haven't heard me complain about my cramps in months. TJ, and he was like, yeah, you're right. That's crazy. So I started thinking more about it, and I don't know if it's the lower carb diet, the less sugar, just the weight loss in general, but I suspect that I had PCOS, and I suspect that it's significantly improved with my weight loss and my diet, and that is probably what's contributing to less pain. I'm not going to say my cramps are gone completely, because they're not. I have a copper IUD, so I think cramps are kind of a way of life with that, but they're so much better. Truly, I can't even complain. It's remarkably better than it was. So that's been incredible. My hair loss has almost completely stopped. It's almost completely gone back to normal. I noticed that about 6 months post-op. So for me, it was pretty significant from about 2.5 months post-op to about 6 months. And then all of a sudden I was noticing, I'm leaving the hair on the wall in my shower, and for a couple washes, and it is less hair than I would pull out with one wash a couple weeks ago. So the hair loss seems to have been going back to normal. I don't think I have like any significant like bald spots or anything. This is a lot of like baby hairness. And I do notice if I tend to lose hair, it's like right from here, which I think is very common. But I rarely wear my hair up. I just started playing with like a little messy bun, but that's been a huge thing for me too, is like I haven't enjoyed having my hair up in years. So I'm kind of loving having it up now. My new job, I'm going to be working in urgent care, so long days, and I'm probably going to want my hair up. So I like that I'm enjoying it being up now. I cannot believe how truly no article of clothing in my closet fits me. I've, you know, purchased a little bit here and there. I have like one pair of jeans that fits me. It's getting a little bit loose. The leggings that I bought when we moved here completely do not fit anymore. That's been a struggle, like running with clothes that don't fit. Luckily, I have a lot of family here that's like donated clothes to me. TJ's sister has donated some clothes to me, which was amazing. That's what I wear when I run, is like one pair of leggings that she donated to me that like actually fits. But like even my watch bands like don't fit anymore. They like, it comes like halfway down my arm on the smallest setting. So I'm just a tiny little girl now. It sounds so weird to say, but I just bought a new bra today because this bra that I bought when my old bra was like comically large is now comically large on me. I still have like a little bit of a butt, I would say, but the girls are gone but not forgotten. You know, they're still there a little, but I don't know. They were too big before, for sure, to be comfortable. That being said, the loose skin is surprisingly good. Like just in my arms, yeah, there's a little, but if I flex, there's not much, you know? I don't think I will need surgery for the arms. I think someday I would love to get a breast lift. I don't really think I'm interested in like an augmentation. But you know, putting them back where they belong would be nice. I think for me, the only true like loose skin removal surgery that I would be interested in would maybe be thighs. The thighs are where I carried a ton of my weight before, and they're definitely so much smaller now, but you can't really get the full effect because of the loose skin on my legs. And I will put in some pictures here of, you know, what that looks like. My legs look amazing in some angles, and then in other angles they don't, and that's just the reality of losing 100 plus pounds, you know. I think for the amount of weight that I've lost and how quickly I've lost it, I am so happy with how little loose skin that I have. And I've been asked a lot, like on the groups that I'm on, you know, what did you do? How do you have no loose skin? And I don't have no loose skin, that's for sure. It's on my stomach, it's on my thighs, it's on my arms, but you know, it is less than a lot of people experience. And I think a lot of that has to do with I got the surgery young. I was only 29 when I got the surgery. I lost weight super quick though, and that's one of the biggest things for preventing loose skin, is to lose slowly if you can. I had no control over that, you know. So I was losing 3 pounds a week every week. You know, that's 12, 13, 14 pounds a month is what I was losing. So that's fast. I think another thing that contributed to me maybe not having as much loose skin was that I carried my weight kind of everywhere. Obviously, the majority of it was in my thighs, but you know, I also carried it in my stomach. I also carried it in my arms. I carried a lot of it in my face and my neck. So having it kind of all spread out like that helps with not having loose skin. If I had a small upper body and truly all of my excess weight was in my thighs, they would look a lot worse than they do. And, you know, that's okay. That's just kind of how it is. I didn't use any special creams, any ointments, any lotions. I don't think any of that stuff works really to prevent loose skin, and I truly didn't consistently start working out until about 6 months post-op. I think the loose skin is kind of out of your control. I will say if you can control getting the surgery as soon as physically possible, that's about the only thing you can do. But you know, if you're 50, 60 years old, you can't go back in time and get the surgery when you were younger. So, and at the end of the day, loose skin is truly, I mean, I obviously can say it coming from someone who has not very much, but the amount that I do have doesn't bother me, and it's so much better than just living in an obese body, you know? Like, I would rather have the loose skin and the stretch marks and everything and maybe have someone look at me weird, but it doesn't bother me. It really doesn't. A couple days ago, I shared like on my Facebook publicly about my weight loss and about my weight loss surgery. It was the first time that like my parents had found out that I had weight loss surgery, And that was just so wild to me. That was such an interesting experience, like moving back home, 60 pounds down, and just having like no one say anything. And it never offended me at all. I know that you really just shouldn't be commenting on people's bodies. Weight loss can be intentional, it can be unintentional, it can be undesired for a lot of people. You know, my family and TJ's family and everyone that we met and ran into would just say that I look great, but you know, that doesn't really open up a lot of chances for me to talk about, oh yeah, thanks, I had gastric bypass, because they didn't explicitly say anything about, oh my gosh, you've lost so much weight, or you know, how are you losing weight, anything like that that would bring up an opportunity to talk about it. So it was really difficult for me. I just accepted the compliment and moved on. But you know, unless someone explicitly asked me about my weight loss, I didn't feel like it was necessary to go into the details about my surgery. For a lot of people, weight loss is a triggering topic, and me talking about intentionally losing weight could upset somebody, and I don't want to do that. So if you didn't bring up the topic of weight to me, or intentional weight loss, I wasn't gonna bring up my intentional weight loss. But you know, I figured my Facebook is as good a place as any to make that announcement, and it was like an end of the year or new year post, and it felt really good to reflect on this year. It's been truly the worst year for TJ and I. A lot of loss this year, but obviously there's been a lot of loss this year for me personally in a good way too. So I wanted to celebrate that a little and talk about something good that happened this year, not only the bad things that happened to us. So it was fun to share that and post, you know, my before and after photos, the little TikTok that I made. My friends and family were all super kind about it. You know, some people they couldn't believe I didn't tell my mom, and you know, she knew about the surgery, that I had a surgery, just didn't know what kind. And I told people, I said, my mom didn't even know the dress I was wearing to my wedding day. You know, I made her be surprised along with everybody else. So I think she's kind of used to how annoyingly independent I am. But my mom and I did have a conversation about, you know, why I didn't tell her, and it was not anything against her. It was just, you know, I lived across the country, and why worry her when I could just show up at her doorstep 4 months later, 60 pounds down, and surprise, you know. It just seemed like a fun thing for me to do, and a good way for me to just be able to focus on what I wanted to do without anyone else's input or opinions. And I just thought that it would come up a lot sooner, truly. So it feels good to have it all out in the open. I feel like now I can edit this 7 months of footage that I have for you guys. So I'm really excited to get this video out there. It feels really good to be at goal and technically like maintaining that weight loss. At 6 months, the weight loss slowed down significantly. I was losing consistently like 10 to 12 to 14 pounds a month before. It slowed down a lot, but then in the last month, I still have managed to lose another like 12 to 14 pounds, I think. So I say that it's slowed down, and then I don't know. But I think truly recently it has slowed down a lot. Like I hit 175 like last week, and I'm at 174. I'm really hoping that I don't get like too low, but I think this is pretty common with gastric bypass, is that you will hit your goal. You know, if you're someone who loses a reasonable amount, of course there's people who are slow losers and struggle with it, but then there are the people that it just seems to kind of work for them as it's intended, and I seem to be one of those fortunate people. The surgery is working for me. With that group of people, it seems like you hit your goal and you tend to dip a little below it, and then there's a little bit of regain. Oh wow, my nails. There's a little bit of regain that brings you back up like closer to your goal, you know, maybe a little bit above your goal. Your body kind of tends to find like that place where it's happy, and I truly don't know what weight my body will be happy at. I've never been an average healthy weight as an adult, so who knows. But I have been really trying to eat more frequently. I'm not off of my protein shakes. To be quite honest, that's a financial thing for us right now. Times are tough. I don't have a job. I've been without a job for months, and we're back in our house. So, you know, we have a mortgage to worry about, and a protein shake for me is an easy way I can guarantee to get 26 grams of protein into my body. So I'm still on them. I do want to be getting all of my protein from just actual solid food soon, and I think when I start my job and I have like that consistency, like I said, my meals and everything, I will be able to be getting my protein in without my protein shakes. But for right now, they're not even cheap, so I don't know. It's just convenient to spend $30 on a pack of protein shakes and have breakfast for 10 days. That's the little 7-month update that I have for you. I did start taking my vitamins as a pill form, or like a capsule, rather than the chewables. Thank God. Those chewables are horrific. And I truly think that the chewable calcium and the chewable multivitamins were contributing to me vomiting for sure. But now I'm on the pills, and yeah, they're large, and sometimes I feel like they're like stuck right here, but it's better than the chewables for me. So I'm happy about that. And I'm gonna go in my house and visit with my husband. All right, and so that brings us to present day. It is July 15th, so I'm almost 14 months post-op, and as of right now I'm 163 pounds. I bounce between like 159 and 165 depending on the day. And let me just read off some stats from my fancy little scale that I have. So I use the Renpho scale app. I have their body fat scale. This is not sponsored. I got it for Christmas many years ago. I love seeing everything be green now. When I first started, all of these little stats were like red and orange, but my BMI is 22.7, so I'm like 3 whole points below average, or below the like overweight mark. I'm like well into the average body weight. My body fat percentage is 24.4%, which my scale says is in like the fitness range. Okay. I've never been considered fit in my entire life, so that is pretty crazy. My skeletal muscle is high, my muscle mass is high, my body protein is high, and I think if I weren't consuming enough, like an adequate amount of protein, that would probably be low. So I really like having this scale to kind of help me keep an eye on like all of my stats. It says that I'm at a 5 for my visceral fat, which is excellent. That's the fat around your organs. It's like the most dangerous type of fat to have. So yeah, I'm really happy with it. My metabolic age when I started was I think 34, and I was 28. And now I was 29 and I was at 34. Now I'm 31. I just turned 31 a couple weeks ago. And it says that my metabolic age is 30, which is good. It said 29 a couple weeks ago, so I'm sad. That's okay. Okay, so that's kind of like where my stats are. I just really like the Berrytastic app too, because it has like all of my stats on there, my whole weight loss graph. I have been logging my weight loss every single week, pretty much, since this whole thing started. Yeah, my first weigh-in was April 4th, 2024, and it was 288. And then the most recent one is actually my most recent recorded weight was May 25th. I haven't recorded a weight into Berrytastic for a while, but that was 158.6. That's probably the lowest that I've gotten on this journey, and now I'm 163. It just kind of fluctuates on, you know, how much muscle, how much water I've got in my body at any given time, but that's where my weight is at. That's where my body fat percentage is at. So I just wanted to talk about a couple things, what it's like maintaining, what life is like now. I will say I've been editing some of the previous month's updates, and I think I mentioned struggling a little bit with my supplements, but I wanted to show you guys what I use. This is not sponsored. I bought all of this stuff. This is genuinely what I use. The bariatric Fusion multivitamin with 45 milligrams of iron. That's what I've been using lately. It's a swallow capsule and it's only one per day. I don't really like the chewables that much. All of them are pretty gross in my experience. I have been able to tolerate them more like the further along I am in my journey, but like post-op, freshly post-op, TJ would laugh at me as I ate those because I would fully be like shaking from how disgusting they are. And then these are my calcium supplements. 2 of these a day gives you 100% of your calcium requirements. I'm gonna take one right now. I'm really good about packing them in my lunch. Like when I go, oh, I don't know what happened to this one. I'm really good about packing those in my lunchbox, but when I'm not working like today, it's a little bit harder for me to remember to take them. So I'm gonna take one right now. They taste like Tootsie Rolls. They're really good. I've tried a couple different calcium chews as well, and those are my favorites. So that's what I use right now. I just had blood work done last month. It was my first time doing blood work since my surgery, which is not great. I think I was supposed to get blood work drawn at like 6 months post-op, but I moved in between getting the surgery and now I moved at about 4 months post-op. So kind of messed things up with like my follow-ups and whatnot. I'm not following up with my bariatric team at all anymore. I was supposed to have a 1-year follow-up, but they basically said, hey, you have to come in and weigh in. You can't do a virtual visit. And I said, okay, I live across the country. I'm not doing that. So, you know, it's fine. I think I'm doing really well. I'm not having any complications. The only thing that I've had like this whole journey was a little bit of vomiting and some like stomach pain, but I think that was related to stress. That was when I had my first job upon coming back to California. I'm now at a different job in the medical field that is going way better. I'm really liking it. I've been there about 6 months now and everything's going really well there. But when I was going through that previous job, I was so stressed. I was throwing up every single morning, and my PA that I saw from my bariatric office said, you know, it might be the stress causing you to throw up. Your stomach is super sensitive after the surgery and you could be like getting an ulcer. So she wanted me to be back on the omeprazole during any periods of like high stress. So that's what I did back then. I haven't really been on the omeprazole in many, many months. There were like a couple periods where I was like, should I go back on it? But I haven't been having issues with vomiting or like stomach pain or anything. So I think my body can handle the stress a little bit better, at least whatever stress I'm going through right now, at least it seems to be handling that. So that's really the only like complication I've had. I don't struggle with constipation. I don't have much loose skin. My loose skin is truly very minimal. I have very little on my arms. I'm really happy with like the way my arms are looking as far as muscle goes and everything. My stomach is pretty minimal too. I'll show you that. So yeah, that's what my stomach looks like. I really have no complaints. I mean, would I get a tummy tuck someday if money were no object? Maybe. Sure, maybe I'd get a tummy tuck if I just had all the money in the world and didn't know what to do with it. More than likely, I probably won't get a tummy tuck. I think the number one surgery I'd be the most likely to get would probably be a breast lift. I used to be a, gosh, 38 triple D or 40 triple D. I think I was a 40 triple D. I should go dig out one of my old bras. Let me see. Okay, so I went and dug out my old bra. This was a 40 double D, so not like the biggest one that I ever purchased. Ooh. This is what I used to wear. And then this is the bra that I just admitted was one size too big. So yeah, the difference is pretty big. So yeah, I used to have quite a large chest, and I'm actually really enjoying being a part of the IBTC, as they call it. I've been able to go like braless and things. I mean, they are saggy, don't get me wrong, but I wear like little nipple covers and kind of like pull them up, fold them in half a little, roll them up like a taquito and stick them in there. And I've just been really enjoying going braless, wearing backless things. It's just pretty nice not having like 20-pound weights strapped to your chest all the time. I definitely have less back pain than I had before, so that is amazing. I used to wear the largest pair of jeans that I had were a pair of Old Navy flare jeans that were quite stretchy, but they were a size 20. And then I had a couple pairs that were a size 18, and I just recently tried them on again because I wanted to cut them up and make things out of it. Actually, this is what I made. It's still in progress, but this is a romper from two pairs of my old jeans. This was the size 20 and this was the size 18 pair. But yeah, I've been really enjoying getting into sewing these last few months. It's been really fun taking in some of my old clothes and making like new smaller things out of them. Just trying on old things and seeing like that physical representation of how much my body has changed has been really fun. I really recommend, if you're going through like any sort of a weight loss journey, and especially if you're having weight loss surgery, to keep some of your old clothes, especially things that you like really liked to wear or you have a lot of photos of yourself wearing. Keep those things so that you can try them on, and if you're ever discouraged by the scale, just the physical representation of like how much your body has changed will hopefully help a lot with that. I tried on a lot of my stuff when we moved back into this house because like all of my clothes were in storage for several months during our move, but I had so much fun trying everything on when we moved back in, and I was like 80 to 90 pounds down, I think. It was so much fun. So now I'm at the point where I really need to go through and get rid of a lot of clothes. There are so many things in my wardrobe that physically do not fit, like fall off my body. I'd have to like tie them onto me. And I'm talking like pajama shorts. Like I need to go through all of my drawers and clear things out. But that's pretty much my biggest problem these days, is just not fitting into any of my clothes and having to like buy a whole new wardrobe or make a whole new wardrobe. So that's another reason why I really recommend getting into like sewing or something like that. If you are going through a weight loss journey, it's so expensive to buy a whole new wardrobe. So I highly recommend learning how to take things in yourself. That will save you a lot of money if you're going through a journey like this. Oh, yeah, I have bangs now. That's also on my list of things to talk about. I think I'm team bangs for life. I just really like them. The size that I wear now, I am a firm like small in the tops or a medium, but typically a small. And then for bottoms, I'm a size 6 to 8 typically. And before I was like an 18 to 20. So I've lost a good number of sizes, and it's just crazy. I truly, my brain can't quite comprehend the fact that like I am a size small. That's just crazy. I truly have never worn a size small. in my life. Even when I was 15, 14, I was wearing a size large. So it's really weird being 31 and being like the smallest I've ever been. Smaller than I was in high school, probably smaller than I was in middle school. It's just odd. I have heard of people saying that like life is so different being thin, people treat you so differently. I will say for me personally, that hasn't really been my experience, like being treated differently, but also my life has completely changed since I started this journey. I'm not at the same job, I'm not surrounded by the same people, so it has been weird in a way working with people that didn't ever see me and didn't know that I was ever plus size or, you know, overweight, obese. They've never known me like that. So I kind of had to like recently tell my coworkers like about my story and, you know, showed them old photos of me, and they were all like so shocked. They just thought that I was this naturally thin person. So, you know, that's different. If I was at the same job for 5 years and they had watched me go through this transformation, yeah, maybe some people would be treating me differently, but that hasn't been my experience so far. But I also don't like go out a lot, so I haven't noticed any sort of different treatment at like bars. I don't go to bars. I'm married. I stay at home with my husband. Speaking of going out, I wanted to talk a little bit about drinking and alcohol. I have not been drunk or like consumed a full alcoholic beverage since before my surgery. I don't really have a lot of interest in alcohol. I had my years of quite heavy drinking as like a young 20-something, going out all the time, but that's just not my life anymore, and I don't have a lot of interest in drinking. And I have done research and heard about how dangerous drinking can be after gastric bypass, so I just truly don't have a lot of interest in it. I will take a sip here or there of like someone else's drink if they want me to try it. They think it's really good. I don't really think alcohol tastes that good actually, so I'm usually not tempted to have more. But yeah, I'm kind of loosely abstaining from alcohol for the rest of my life. I just am not really interested in it. I'm not saying 100% I'll never have a drink again, but that's just kind of like where I'm at with it. Alcohol is not super safe after gastric bypass. You can become super intoxicated without really knowing. Your tolerance is generally a lot lower, but the way your stomach works, you're gonna sober up physically while the alcohol is still in your bloodstream, so it's easy to like build up levels of really high alcohol, and just, you know, that's just very dangerous, and you might not feel it as much as you did before just because of the way your stomach works. So I'm just not really interested in that. This whole journey for me is kind of about becoming as healthy as possible, so I'm not really interested in drinking at this point. There are plenty of other people that drink after gastric bypass and after the sleeve if that's something that's important to you, but for me, I'm just kind of over it. Not really something I think about. But I do drink coffee now. I think before I started this process and like all throughout the post-op process, when I got cleared to have caffeine at 6 months, I had like a matcha, and it made me feel like it made me feel absolutely crazy. But now that I'm working in urgent care, and I need caffeine to live. So I do have coffee daily. I don't do like the protein coffees or anything. I don't drink protein shakes anymore. I am hitting my protein goals 100% with my diet. I have definitely increased my portions these last few months as I've been trying to like slow my weight loss down and enter more of like a maintenance phase. I have not been losing weight, I think, since like February. Yeah, I hit 165 in the beginning of April, and that's kind of where I fluctuate now. I've been maintaining for the last couple months, and I think a large part of that is the fact that I've upped my portions. I'm eating 6 to 9 ounces with like my 2 biggest meals of the day, which is lunch and dinner. For breakfast, I'm probably eating like 4 to 5 ounces, and then I eat a protein bar after breakfast. Then I eat leftovers of dinner for lunch. Here's a clip of like what a normal dinner looks like for me. And my husband, he's an amazing cook. I work really late, so he typically has dinner like somewhat ready for me when I come home. TJ has been such a great part of this whole journey. He has helped me every single day, whether that is portioning out my food for me, making food for me. He helps me keep track of my 30-minute timer once I'm done eating, to keep track of when I can start drinking water. That has been a struggle for me. You're supposed to wait 30 minutes after you eat to start drinking, but sometimes the time slips away from me and I like didn't have a timer started and it'll be an hour later and I'm thinking, can I drink water yet? So he's been really good about helping me with that. Yeah, I'm really grateful for his support, and this journey can be difficult on marriages as one partner goes through like so many changes with them physically, mentally. Sometimes the other partner can be left behind and, you know, not really be on board with those changes, but TJ's been 100% on board this whole time. He's been my biggest support system and just kind of like my biggest cheerleader. He's always so impressed with how much hard work I've put into this whole process. He's always telling me that, you know, this has not been easy, even though to me it has felt somewhat easy. Like, I've struggled so much harder to lose weight in the past and lost 10 pounds. You know, this has been relatively effortless since I had a surgery to help me lose weight. I have just truly adhered to what my doctors have told me to do. I focus on protein. I'm eating a pretty healthy, clean diet for the most part, and it works. I think for me, the biggest thing that the surgery gave me was the ability to eat much smaller portions and feel satisfied. I have such a tiny little stomach and it's so easy to eat the amount that I need to be eating. I eat pretty small portions, but I think in the grand scheme of things, I probably eat close to the amount that we would be served if we ate somewhere in like Europe. Much more used to small portion sizes over there, so the amount that I eat just looks like a very small amount in America, but to me it seems like a normal amount of food. You know, I'm generally shooting for about 4 ounces of meat, 2 ounces of carbs, and an ounce or 2 of a vegetable. That's kind of my general guideline. Yeah, I eat plenty of carbs, I eat dessert, I have something sweet pretty much every day. Sometimes that's fruit, sometimes it's ice cream. I don't really believe in like denying myself things. I have cinnamon rolls, cookies. I just, you know, I split a cinnamon roll with my husband. I eat 1 cookie instead of 6. It's all about balance. Editing Alyssa here, just popping in because I forgot to mention another thing about losing 130 pounds is that I'm always cold. That is very beneficial in the summer, so I thought I would mention it in case any of you are in a hot climate and you're thinking of having weight loss surgery. That is an unexpected perk, is that you will probably always be cold. It is 78 degrees outside and I got a little chilly, so I'm putting on this giant hoodie. And keep in mind, my iron levels are perfectly within range, in case you're wondering. So let's talk about exercise and how exercise has been for me throughout this whole process. I was having these repeated dreams that I was just like running and it was so effortless with my new small body. So I kind of decided to like try it. I remember vividly just like jogging across the parking lot at Costco to like go return my cart and thinking, wow, that was easy. I'm not like winded. I truly would get winded just from walking before. I was carrying around 130 more pounds than I'm carrying now, and that was really hard. Like everything about existing when you're overweight like that and obese like that is hard. It's tiring, it's exhausting. So I just feel like it's so much easier for me to exist these days, much less exercise. So I started having those weird dreams that I could run effortlessly, and TJ and I started going for little runs here and there. We didn't have any sort of consistency to it. I actually mentioned it to my bariatric team and they were kind of hesitant. This was at like 6 to 8 months post-op. My PA told me that she wanted me to focus more on weights than cardio, which I agree with, but I do think cardio is important too. So now TJ and I are officially starting training for a 5K, and then from there I want to do a 10K and possibly a half marathon. We'll see. I can't even run a 5K yet, so we'll see where we go from here. We're on week 1 of the Runna app 5K program, and that's been really, really nice. We added on some strength training and a mobility session, so I'm shooting for like 3 to 4 days of exercise per week, including cardio, strength training. I just really want to take as great of care of my body as I possibly can. Just to get a little like personal here, my mom was recently diagnosed with cancer a couple months ago, and she has been so active these last few years. She had the gastric sleeve many years ago, has lost a ton of weight, and these last couple years has really dedicated herself to exercise. I think she had an exercise streak of like over 500 or 600 days when she got to the point that she started getting really sick and none of us knew what was going on. She got to the point where she couldn't walk up the stairs of her house. It's just crazy how one day you can be on 600 days straight of walking, and then the next thing you know, you can't do it anymore. So that's my focus now going forward. Like, I have lost the weight. I just want to maintain my weight loss and focus more on like health and fitness. I don't think being thin necessarily means that you're healthy. That's my goal. There will come a time in all of our lives when our bodies aren't able to run anymore. But for me, that day is not today. So I want to honor my body as much as I can, honor my mom as much as I can, and just take really good care of myself. Unfortunately, the type of cancer that she has, there is a chance that me and my siblings will get it. So this is my life now. So yeah, this is what life looks like now. We just have to take as great of care of ourselves as we can. You only get one life. Last year we lost my husband's best friend to cancer at 30 years old. So, life's just crazy and we just have to do as best as we can. Damn, cancer sucks, man. So I'm just really trying to make sure TJ and I are as healthy as we can be for as long as possible. But that's kind of a little bit about what's going on in my life. I recently turned 31 almost a month ago, but at an amazing birthday party. I originally wanted to throw like this big huge party, I think like at our house. That was what I wanted to do, but then my mom got sick and I just kind of lost interest. So I wasn't really even gonna do a birthday party this year, but TJ is amazing and took my Pinterest board and just made it come to life with the help of his amazing mom and sisters. TJ's mom is doing well, by the way. We had health issues with her going on last year, also cancer, but she is luckily doing well as of right now. So they threw this amazing birthday party for me. I'll put in some clips, but it was just so fun to celebrate another year on this earth. I mean, we should all be celebrating that as much as we can. Tomorrow's not guaranteed. There was one portion of my party that was a little bit extra special, and that was my birthday cake. My mom has been a baker for 10 plus years now and has made many birthday cakes and just treats for me over the years. And last year we were in South Carolina, so I didn't get a birthday cake from her. But this year I really wanted one and just didn't know if that was going to be possible. She was barely able to, get herself up off the couch, much less bake a birthday cake. So TJ was amazing and worked with her, and they worked together to make my birthday cake over the course of a couple days. So it was just the best birthday ever, and I was really happy to get the chance to celebrate with so many of my friends and my family. And I recently got a tattoo for my mom. That is her initial, and then she was born in October, so that's a marigold, which is like her birth flower. And then this was it's an old healed tattoo, but it says joie de vivre, which is the joy of living in French. So that's kind of like what I'm trying to focus on these days, is the joy of being alive. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. TJ and I are focused on fitness and running and cycling and strength training going forward. And I really hope you guys enjoyed this multi-part long video all about the last year of my life and making this huge transformation. So thank you so much for watching. If you watched all of this, you are a real one and I appreciate you. Going forward, I don't know if there will be a lot of weight loss content on this channel. It'll probably be more fitness focused and, you know, of course, the things that I'm actually interested in, which is sewing and crafting and whatnot. But if there is some health and fitness related stuff on this channel, it'll be more about maintenance and, you know, becoming a runner. Who knows? Thank you guys so much for watching and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.